Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm going to try to share this real quick. I need to figure out how to do this better. All right, is it going to show me that I'm live? No. Okay. Well, forget it then. Let's not do it. Hey, everyone. I'm Carolyn Spronley. Welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. This is Sam Hardinger.
Hello.
And so we're here for Talk About It Tuesday. Sorry we missed last week. It was a really busy week, so I'm glad that you're here today. Again, I am Carolyn Spronley with the link at Keller Williams on the Water, Sarasota, your link to all things real estate and beyond. And this is Sam Hardinger with Pinnacle Paint and Design, and he is my go-to painter for all things. So we're gonna do a little bit different today. So usually we already have what we're gonna talk about, and we decide what we're going to talk about. But what we did last night was I reached out on Facebook to see what you guys would want to hear about painting and how Sam can answer questions for us to help you better paint, or figure out what questions you have. So what we're going to do is we're going to answer those questions. Okay? Do you want to tell us about yourself?
Pinnacle Paint and Design. It's just my son and myself, so we keep our overhead low, our quality high. We're on every job. Mm-hmm. And I've been painting for 24 plus years.
I don't think I knew that. That's awesome.
And my son's been painting probably since he's about 8, but seriously for the last 3 years. So
that's great. Yeah, so he has 2 sons that do work with him, Jared mostly.
Yes.
And so we'll talk about that a little bit too. So, all right, well, let's get into it.
Okay.
So, from Miss Bree, how many layers of paint can you have before you have to sand down the previous layers?
There's no real rule to that. It's a matter of how it looks, how you think it looks. Because if the paint is holding up just fine, it's probably that there's not a number that you can put on it.
Right.
It depends if the paint's deteriorating, if the paint is failing in some way, then you'd want to scrape and sand.
And so failing means like chipping or maybe even bubbling, I guess?
Bubbling, there's an adhesion problem.
Okay.
Whatever paint layer isn't sticking to another paint.
Oh.
So
Okay.
you can put, a lot of people, if the house is older, they might have had oil-based paint on there, and then somebody went directly over it with a latex paint. That's not going to stick to each other. There is crossover products, so if you're going to ever have a question about what paint is on there, you can use a product that's a crossover product that has a water-based isotopes and oil-based isotopes. It's an alkyd product.
Okay.
It cleans up with water, but it will stick to water and it will stick to oil.
Got it. Okay, so you can, in case you don't know what it is, use this crossover.
Yes.
Okay, so the answer to that, Bree, is it doesn't matter. It's up to you. Another question here from, who was that one from? Oh, Colleen. How long does exterior paint last specifically? So I think to go along with that, it's up to you. But what did we say? Exterior paint was...
I wouldn't wait more than 10 years.
Okay.
I mean, but it really depends on the age of the house, what you're painting over.
The material.
Stucco, wood, where the exposure is. If it has a western exposure, where we are, you're going to take a lot more sun, and the sun's going to take its toll.
Right.
And it's very important to keep up with that, but then you have to use a high-quality paint. If you use a cheap paint, you're going to be painting a lot more often.
That's true, too. So for Bree and Colleen, 10 years for exterior or depending on what material it is you're painting over, whether exterior or, a desk or a wall, it just depends on how you like it to look, or if it's chipping, if it's failing. So that makes total sense. Okay, cool. All right, so the next question from Pete Sylvester with Web Design Creative. Do you do murals?
Yes, we do murals. We do any kind of mural. My youngest son, Joshua, is a student at Ringling, and he can, between the 3 of us, we can do just about anything between the painting. We all have some artistic talent, but obviously he's a lot more talented than the rest of them, than myself and my other son. But we all have some talent.
I was just talking about how being artistic, it's a gene, I'm pretty sure, because it skipped me, definitely. But my grandfather, my father, my sister even, I mean, very artistic people, and I can't even draw a stick figure. So, all right. So, from Miss Reggie from up north, hey, you were asking about removing paint over brick indoor. So maybe like a fireplace or something. I'm not exactly sure, but do you have any tips or tricks for removing the paint, or should she just paint over it?
Well, if it's already a painted brick, I would if the paint is failing in some way, then you'd want to scrape anything off. But if it's already painted and it looks good, I would just say paint over it. You might want to put a primer on it. Now there are some interior, exterior stucco type products or joint compound type products that you could put over it to fill any holes that you didn't like, anything that was failing. I would scrape, primer, fill, and then you can paint right over the stuff.
And then it'll be all smooth again.
Yes.
Okay.
Depending on what the look you're going for, or what the texture already there.
Is there a chemical that will eat the paint right off?
There are chemicals. Most of the chemicals that will do that are very harsh.
Okay.
And probably not a good idea to use in your house.
Inside, okay.
And if you do, you follow the manufacturer's guidelines, because if you don't have a respirator or you don't have the right gloves, you can get seriously injure yourself or do some serious lung damage. Which
That's true.
Sometimes
it's
is not worth
paint
it.
is a chemical.
Yes.
And remover is definitely a chemical.
Removers are usually harsh chemicals
Yeah.
and are not good for you.
Right.
So.
Okay. That makes total sense. All right. So let's talk about something that's confusing to a lot of people. Sheen. So Alicia, you asked, how do you choose the right sheen?
Right.
So, okay. So what is sheen?
Sheen is just the shininess you see on an angle. So you have a dead flat. You have a matte, which just has a low sheen.
Okay.
Then you have eggshell, which basically it's called eggshell, not because of the color, because if you look at an eggshell, it has a slight sheen to it.
Okay.
This is a very slight sheen. If you hold an egg to the side, it's a very slight sheen. That's the same sheen that's on the wall.
Got it. Okay.
Then you go to satin, then you go to semi-gloss, and then you go to full gloss.
Full gloss. Okay.
So, and most people think the sheen has something to do with the scrubbability or the washability of a paint. With the new paints, they're all washable. If you're going to get a decent
parents.
paint,
Good to know,
they're all
Alicia.
washable. So you don't choose the sheen just because you think that's washable. It really comes down to the look.
Got it.
And if you have if you don't have perfect walls, don't do a high sheen. Don't do any kind of sheen, because you will see that shininess will show out every imperfection.
So
on
the
wall.
more shiny it is, the more you're going to see all of the imperfections.
Right.
So we were talking a little bit. So, for instance, behind us, I mean, these are kind of flat, I guess, but
they're
they
really do have a sheen. These things right back here, you can look at it on the angle, because the thing about sheen is you can't see it straight on. The sheen is an angular thing.
Right.
So when you're looking at something on an angle, then you see the sheen.
Right.
Not straight on.
So the wall is more flat.
Yes.
And then the borders, what are they called?
Right.
Moldings?
The trim, yeah.
Sorry.
All the trim has
a
satin sheen to it.
As a little bit more of a sheen, so it's not like the same.
It stands out a little bit, yes.
Exactly.
Right.
So you can definitely tell a difference there. But if you don't want to see the little bumps and all of that, don't paint.
Don't paint
with high sheen.
Right, because you will not be happy with the results.
Right. All right, so let's see. Another thing, all of our DIY people. Hey, Javi. All of our DIY people that like to redo furniture and cabinets and things like that.
Right.
So from Shannon Weedman, what is the easiest way to paint kitchen cabinets?
Well, if the cabinets are already painted, then it's not a big deal to paint them again. But if you're painting over like a laminate, you got to remember, you are painting over something that's not intended to be painted.
Don't paint over laminate.
Well, you can do it. You can do it. You just have to understand that it's not going to be, it's not going to hold up like it's a laminate, because it's not. It's paint. But the steps that you would take if you're going to do that, There's
On laminate.
On a laminate, anything that you're going to repaint in the kitchen.
Okay.
The kitchen has a lot of grease, has a lot of handprints, got a lot of oils on it.
Yeah.
So there's a product called TSP, which is a cleanser. You follow the manufacturer's instructions for the strength because you add water to it. It comes in a concentrated form.
Okay.
So you wipe down all the cabinets, and when that stuff dries, it dries with no residue.
Which I'm going to get because I have a 3-year-old.
Right.
Anyway, I'm not repainting my cabinets.
And then you would put a light sanding on it, and then you could use a tack cloth to get that sand, get all the dust off. Then you would primer. I would recommend you want to use a good primer. It can be a water-based primer. It doesn't have to be. It could be either. If you want to use an oil base is going to have a smell to it. Depends on your sensitivity to that kind of stuff, but you use a quality primer. And then you use the paint of your choice. I mean, if you want a satin or an eggshell, I would not go with a dead flat matte because it's not going to look that good. Even if a dead flat versus if you went it with a matte.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you do have a slight sheen. But then you just pick out the color. The main thing is take the doors off. If you're not painting both sides of the cabinets, you can make yourself some. If you take some plywood, you put some screws in it. You can set it on the screws.
Oh, that's smart.
And then
to hold it up to paint.
Yeah, and then you could paint, and then let it dry, and then you could reinstall.
That's smart.
But give yourself time. Don't and like I said, don't manhandle this stuff because it's not going. You don't want to scratch it. I mean, it's going to hold up, but you can't. It's not laminate. It's paint.
And you want to. So you want to. He was saying. What he's saying is make sure that once you do paint it, you let it
cure.
Let it cure. Let it relax for a little bit, and then when you put it back on the cabinets, don't be slamming the doors.
Right.
Don't
make sure you have the soft bumpers on there.
Yeah.
And otherwise,
you have to take care of it more now that you're painting it, and the
Right.
manufacturer didn't paint it.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And from a realtor's perspective, and Shannon, you know this, don't paint your cabinets lime green or any crazy color.
Right.
No one's into that anymore. You're welcome. All right. So Tom Stoppiello and Pete have questions about painting tricks for painting door jambs, window openings, or cutting around baseboards. So what do you recommend for that?
Here's the thing. If you're not really good with a paintbrush, don't pretend that you are. Don't frustrate yourself. Just use tape. Tape out the floor. Tape out the top of the baseboard.
Like triple tape.
And the trick about if you're painting like a window frame, take some tape and take a scissors and cut a straight line with a bunch of pieces of tape. Now put those in all your corners of your windows. Then just rip the tape off and finish it out. But make sure you burnish that tape down. Otherwise, it's not going to. It's going to bleed underneath.
What are you calling it? Burnish?
Burnish. Just rubbing it hard with your fingers or just a little
Make
trowel.
Sure you push it real hard, like right where the edges are, because especially on walls that have some texture.
Right.
Because you can get the bubbles underneath it,
bleed,
so you'll get paint
through,
underneath it,
and
so it won't even work.
The trick is there's no such thing as a shortcut. But you're going to be much happier with the job if you use tape because now you're not going to be worried about, I missed that. Oh, now you can go over and let it dry, look at it again, and then go over it again, and that way you'll have it nice. Don't be in a hurry to paint. Take the tape off and go, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, painting, you have to take your time.
Yes.
Let it dry. Okay.
Right.
So speaking of tape, what's the best kind of tape?
Well, I think if you have something that's really delicate that you don't want to take any chances on, frog tape works really, really well. I only use that on certain projects, but other than that, I just buy the regular painter's blue tape. It's cheaper. It works just as fine. Like on a real delicate project, a real like high-end thing or something I'm really concerned about, then I'm going to use frog tape.
Because it's a little more heavy duty.
It doesn't allow the bleed through as much.
Right.
That's really so. It really depends on how picky the situation is. I mean, if you have something that has to be perfect, then you want to use something that and that's really the bottom line.
So it doesn't matter. It does matter for that instance, but just make sure you're also pushing that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done that.
Yes.
And I think it's so silly of me to that I didn't take the time to push in the bottom. I was just going to slap the tape on. But anyway, that is all of our questions.
Awesome.
I think those were some great questions. Thank you guys for participating. I'm going to tag you all in when I share this. And so again, this is Sam Hardinger with Pinnacle Paint and Design. His info is above if you need any help. He does exterior, interior, murals. All of the jobs that he's done for my clients have been phenomenal, and I recommend him every single time. So please, 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 just make sure when I need him again, you're not using them because you can get busy. But thank you again for watching Talk About It Tuesday, all about painting. I hope this helped you a lot. I know it helped me. And I'm Carolyn Spronley, your link to all things real estate and beyond. And I hope you guys have a great Tuesday. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.